Hi class, welcome to week 2 of online learning. I wanted to make a short video for all of you to review some topics in chapter 12, States of Matter, as well as to remind you of some things to look out for in Google Classroom. So what's really important is that before you do any work in the classwork tab up here, you should first look in the Stream tab. Now, one thing I'm going to point out that I have pointed out before is that my screen might look a little bit different from yours because I have the teacher version. And like for instance, here's the code to join the class. So I can't show you everything, but I will show you what I can. So one of the things you want to look out for are current posts made by myself. And you can see, actually, you should be able to see when I last edited this. So if I update something, that's really important for you to look back. So I'm going to read this out loud to all of you. Hi class, so we begin week 2 of online learning. If you did not hand in any assignments from last week, please do so immediately. Zeros will soon be awarded to those assignments not turned in. I will begin to start contacting parents if I do not get all the assignments from you. The Chapter 11 test most of you took will be entered in marking period 3. For those of you who did not take the test, a 0 sits in Sapphire and will remain there until you take your test. It is really important that you look back to my post from last week and do all of these things. I don't want you to get behind, so you need to each day check off one of your assignments for science. I know you have other subjects, but you do have until Sunday at midnight to do all of these things as well as anything you didn't finish from last week. Okay, so let's just recap from last week quickly. So last week you should have completed the Legends of Learning games, if it worked for you, reviewed for the test by completing the quizzes, get an 80%. Next time we do this, boys and girls, I want you to put your first name and initial of last name so I know who did it and who did not. You should have taken the test and completed Chapter 12, Lesson 1 questions. Submit through Google Classroom. The video tutorial is here on how to do that. I cannot show you how to do that because I don't have the student version and I can't log in as one of you to even show you that. I could potentially create a fake account to show you, but I haven't yet gotten there. Okay, so here's how to use the online textbook as well. So if you click on this assignment, it's a file. Here's the link, username, password. I also created and inputted screenshots for you on how to get to the right chapter. So this is Chapter 12. You want to click on Lesson 1, or if perhaps you're in Lesson 2, you want to click on Lesson 2, and then the correct part of the textbook will show up. You click on ebook and you should be in the right place. So I'm just going to exit out of this. Okay, so this was everything from last week. Okay, if you are having any problems with your internet, how to submit things, please let me know, or you can drop a comment. Perhaps somebody else in the class can help you to hand in your assignments. Okay, so please always check in the Stream tab first for updates from me. Here's a video on how to download. I made this video as well, how to download a Word document so that you can edit it. Okay, so we covered everything from last week, what you have to do. Okay, including Chapter 12, Lesson 1. So we are currently in Chapter 12, so please look in that folder under classwork. This week, you have to complete the States of Matter simulation with PhET. PhET is just a website. This is a Word document. You download the document, you use the website, you edit the document to answer the questions, and then you submit it. Study jams, pick any two. These are games. There is a link under the classwork tab. Brain Pop, States of Matter, watch the video, take the quiz. Hopefully you remember that the username is the zip code of Selinsgrove 17870. Password is SEALS. SEALS. And the last thing you have to do is the Chapter 12 Lesson 2 questions. This is actually through a Google Forms this time. So you can use the textbook to do this. Please make sure it's done by Sunday. This is what it says here. So it says, please make it a habit to complete all your work so you don't fall behind. I don't want you to be 2 weeks behind where you have double the amount to do in 1 week for science, especially if you're like that with other subjects. It will be stressful for you, and that's not what we need right now. Okay, so I just want you all to be checking in with Google Classroom and your email. Okay. Also on the side, upcoming kind of helps you to remember what you all have to do. So if we go to the class work tab, we are currently in Chapter 12. These are all the assignments for this week. This was from last week. So this was posted last week, and this is past due April 5th. Now it's April 7th. So this is late now. So you have the States of Matter simulation. Guys, remember, if you click on this, you see directions with links and files. Everything you need to do to complete the assignment is here. You have to click on this. Same thing. Read the directions first. Some people were asking me, what do we do? Right here. And if you're not sure, you can leave a comment on it as well. Okay, Brain Pop, lesson 2 questions. So here's the Google form. Once you are done, you don't have to submit anything for this. I mean, you submit it through the Google Forms, but you don't have to attach a document. You don't have to do that. What you can do, this is optional. This is more just for you. If you click on this image, I can't show you this, remember, because I don't have the student version. Instead of clicking add or create, this is where you attach your file. You can click mark as done. So that's just more for you to keep track of what you did and didn't do. I can look in Google Forms to see if you did it. So if you submit it and you forget to do this, I can still see that you did it. So this is more just for you. I would still do this anyway. Okay, still mark it as done. Okay, so let's move on to reviewing. So I'm going to review Chapter 12, Lesson 1 questions. Okay, let's see, where did I bring it up? I'm going to click on this, bring this up. So Chapter 12 talks about states of matter. Number 1, explain the properties of a solid, liquid, gas. So what we should actually have noticed when we clicked on states of matter, our simulation, I'm going to select neon here. So these blue things are individual atoms, right? Solid, liquid, gas. Solid, the atoms are arranged typically in some sort of pattern. It's hard to see this from this perspective, but they are arranged in a pattern. They are moving just a little bit, and they are packed tightly together. In a liquid, they are spread further apart. So I think your book says they have definite volume but no shape, whereas the solid has a definite shape, definite volume. Liquid has definite volume, so it occupies a space, but no definite shape. It takes the shape of the container. With a gas, so something that your book didn't show you, but the simulation does. The particles, they are moving around the most. So it's kind of hard to see, but they are moving at the greatest speed. Okay, they're moving the fastest. The distances between them are the greatest. And particles in a gas have no definite shape, no definite volume. Okay, so that was the answer to that. Whoops. Okay. Explain the difference between mass and weight. Mass is the amount of matter in an object. And if you don't change your diet, you don't change your exercise habits, your mass will not change. You could go to the moon, you could go to Jupiter, you could go to Pluto, you could go to the nearest star, Alpha Centauri b or Proxima Centauri b. Your mass will not change. What will change is your weight. So how weight is different from mass. Your weight is your mass multiplied by the planet's gravity. So you take your mass on Earth, you multiply it by Earth's gravity, gravitational pull, you get your weight. So you take your mass, let's say we want to go to the moon. Again, your mass shouldn't change, but the gravity on the moon's less. So your mass times the moon's gravity, which is less, you get a lower weight. Since the moon's gravity is less, it's going to be a smaller number. A physical property is a property that you can observe about a substance, like its color, or its density, or its shininess, or how it floats. If you can observe this type of property without changing the substance itself, so no chemical reaction involved here, that's a physical property. Okay, so you can observe this property without changing it. Okay, changing it chemically. So that means if you were to like take a rock and grind it down, yes, you would be changing its shape, but that's still a physical change and there's no chemical reaction there. Okay, so I just want to point that out. With a chemical property, this is where you have a chemical reaction. Like if you wanted to find out how well something burns, for instance, like how well plastic burns, you'd have to take a match and light it on fire, which I definitely don't suggest doing that because burning plastic actually produces carbon monoxide, a deadly gas, so don't do that. But if you wanted to find out the flammability, which is how something burns like of plastic, you'd have to burn it. And anything that burns, if we see fire, that's a chemical reaction. And we get a new substance with that. So, for instance, if you were to burn plastic, how would you know that it was on fire? If someone were to burn it and you weren't around and you came back and you're like, oh my gosh, why did you light that on fire? How would you know it was on fire? Well, a couple of signs. Obviously, it would have a darker appearance and would probably produce some sort of smell. That means a chemical reaction occurred. And that means that's a chemical property. So to observe a chemical property, a reaction happens. That's probably the best way I can explain it. So flammability is one. If we were to measure the toxicity of something, how toxic it is, we would have to put it through a test where we would then have a chemical reaction. Solubility is the ability of a substance to dissolve. Certain things dissolve easier than others. Number 6, what happens when a liquid reaches its boiling point? It will turn into a gas. Okay, from a liquid to a gas. You could say other things about the atoms as well. The atoms will actually, so if you go back to your PhET simulation, when it goes from a liquid to a gas, the atoms will move faster and begin to spread further apart. Boys and girls, you only had to do 3 questions to solve for density. It was very simple. So with 1, 2, and 3, it says what is the density for all 3 of them. Now I know there's 3 different formulas here, but you just had to find the one for density. M over V is mass divided by volume, which in each one it gives you. So the mass, anytime you see grams, that's your mass. Grams, centimeters cubed, volume. Oh, here they give you your volume first. Mass, grams. And it even tells you volume is, mass is, volume is, mass is. You just had to plug in the numbers. Some of you did not get the correct answer. So you definitely want to use a calculator for some of these, especially number 3. So number 1 was 25 divided by 50. 25 divided by 50. I should have got 0.5. And what I want to look for is the unit. So here's the unit for density at the top. Grams per centimeters cubed. So I got 0.5. 25 divided by 50, mass divided by volume. Number 2, 400 divided by 100. That's pretty easy. 4. So that's grams per centimeters cubed. 400 mass divided by volume. Last one was 288 divided by 16.